want that?
We got that. Yeah, let me get Ezekiel. I don't know if I have that one. Ezekiel 35, 5 through 7.
35. Okay.
But yeah, man, you know, people thought that the border situation has gotten better or whatever. It's actually gotten worse, you see? But they just don't report on it because they don't want too many people getting emotional and starting to feel sorry for the Latinos. You know, that's really what it is. So you got to go to sources, Latino sources, if you will, that have not forgotten about these brothers and sisters, right? So it's continuing to report on this to keep everybody aware of, you know, what's going on. Let's get that.
This is Ezekiel chapter 35, verse 5. Because thou hast had a perpetual hatred and hast shed the blood of the children of Israel by the force of the sword in the time of their calamity, in the time that their iniquity had an end. Verse 6. Therefore, as I live, saith the Lord Yahweh, I will prepare thee unto blood, and blood shall pursue thee, saith thou hast not hated blood.
That's right.
Even blood shall pursue thee.
Hey, this people has been bloodthirsty over the Israelites' blood, and so they're going to end up getting more than they can handle, but it's going to be of their own blood, right?
Verse 7.
Come.
Yeah. Verse 7. Thus will I make Mount Seir most desolate, and cut off from it him that passeth out, and him that returneth.
Beautiful, right? Talking about the Edomites, right? So, all right, let's keep going on the article.
A total of 3,091 migrants passed through the treacherous Darien Gap region straddling Panama and Colombia during 2025. That is a 99% reduction from the more than 250,000 per year who passed through Darien in 2022, 2023, and 2024, a result of the impossibility of seeking asylum upon arrival.
Right. So they got no hope now with that coming over here. A lot of people lost hope, and so like I said, 99% drop in the people trying to cross that gap to get into America, right? So in other words, so-called white man is doing a bang-up job, man, right, of oppressing and breaking the spirits of those Northern Kingdom brothers trying to get over here. And, you know, they're not all Mexican. Some of them come from further south in America, right? But they still the Israelites, right? All right, let's read on.
Federal judges are increasingly exasperated by the Trump administration's effort to lock up nearly everyone facing deportation proceedings, Cal Cheney, a Politico, reported. The administration is using this and other policies to wear out asylum seekers and get them to give up on their claims. The Trump administration is allowing TPS, temporary protected status, for about 350,000 citizens of Haiti in the United States to expire on February 3rd, 2026.
See, there are the Haitians in there too. See that? They didn't forget about y'all. Right? So give me Daniel 7 and 25.
This is Daniel chapter 7, verse 25. And he shall speak great words against the Most High, and shall wear out the saints of the Most High, and think to change times and laws, and they shall be given unto his hand until a time and times and the dividing of time.
Right? That's where we are now. This is what we're reporting on right now. Right? Talked about saints being worn out, and you know, they're continuing to be. So let's read on.
30 Democratic senators signed a letter to President Trump DHS Secretary Noam and Attorney General Pam Bondi voicing, quote, profound alarm at the reassignment of thousands of agents from the FBI, Marshal Service, DEA, and other agencies who have been tasked with enforcing immigration.
Yeah, they've taken people from all these different entities, right? Law enforcement, I guess you would say, or federal government entities, right? Read those entities again. The FBI, what else?
The FBI, the Marshals Service, DEA, and other agencies.
Yeah, and they're taking them and they're making them become Border Patrol agents, right? Slave catchers, right? I mean, that's pretty much what they have in mind when they're doing this stuff, right? All right, let's finish that out.
Often targeting non-criminal migrants instead of their fundamental duties.
Yeah, non-criminal migrants. See that? They're supposed to be catching criminals. DEA agents, right? Drug Enforcement Administration, they're supposed to be catching drug dealers. But damn the drugs, get on those Mexicans that ain't doing nothing wrong. They haven't broken any laws, right? They're not criminals, even though they're being painted as criminals by Donald Trump, right? And other politicians and other media, right? They're being demonized and villainized unjustly, right? Why is that? They hate us because they ain't us, right? It's very important that they do these things because they have but a short time, right? Their kingdom is almost over, and they can feel it, right? So they're grasping at straws now. That was it on that? No, let's do the last little bit.
The letter notes that technology companies that submit tens of millions of suspected child abuse files each year have already reported a collapse in follow-up from federal investigators.
Right. So damn all the cases that was being worked on, and some of these cases might have been getting ready to get solved. No, we need somebody pressing these Mexicans, right? Drop what you was doing and get down there to that border. That's pretty much what's happening. You know what I'm saying? So if you were a so-called Mexican man or a so-called Hispanic man, you should be pissed off, right? And how are you going to combat this? Well, you start keeping the law, statutes, and commandments, right? Start teaching your brothers and sisters, right? Start having faith in the Messiah, right? Who the world ignorantly calls Jesus Christ. That's what you need to do, right? You don't need to start stockpiling guns. You can't outshoot the so-called white man. Okay?
Hell no.
He's got lasers now. I got a little bit on another article, which is just a more recent update of this same post, right? And it talks about that, right? But yeah, let's go into that a little bit first. It's a little bit less, but this is, because this article is starting to get dated a little bit, I wanted to see what things have transpired since then, you know what I mean? So let's get into that a little bit.
All right, it reads this is the U.S.-Mexico border update, February 20th, 2026.
Right. The other one was January 6th, so now, or January 9th, I'm sorry. This is February 20th, right? So maybe about 10 days ago or less. So let's see what's going on there.
Cartel drones, laser weapons, and the El Paso airspace closure. A chaotic February 11th incident in which El Paso airspace was closed after CBP, the Customs Border Patrol, used a military laser to shoot down what it thought was a drone, highlighted challenges in communication, coordination, and transparency within the Trump administration.
Right. So that's just a summary of that, or of what's going on there. But it's just a demonstration to you that, because I don't know if you knew this, so-called Black, Hispanic, and Native man, that the government's using lasers now to shoot things down out the sky. They don't need ammunition anymore, right? They don't need bullets and gunpowder, right? They're using lasers to shoot down what they say was, or they thought that it was a cartel drone. Come to find out it was a weather balloon, some kind of balloon, right? But this is what you're up against, right? So put your gun down because it ain't gonna do you no good. Pick this Bible up. Learn these laws, statutes, and commandments.